In an extraordinary exchange, New South Wales Supreme Court Justice Ian Harrison has accused Nationals MP Pat Connaughton of having disgusting views, of being paternalistic and racist. You might be wondering what he did to earn the ire of Justice Harrison. Well, he gave a respectfully delivered speech expressing the reasons why he does not support changing the Constitution to entrench a so-called Indigenous voice to Parliament. You can make up your own mind about how offensive this speech is.
Enhancements and changes to programs and initiatives can be made swiftly without a referendum on constitutional change that divides a nation along the line of race. Enhancement and changes can be made without the delay that a referendum requires. Enhancements and changes can be made without the cost of a referendum. Positive steps can be taken without unintentionally encouraging Australians to have a conversation that contains the words us and them in place of one and all. This bill conflates two entirely separate issues. Firstly, the recognising Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people in the Australian Constitution, a point upon which we all agree and that does not have unforeseen consequences. And secondly, support for a constitutionally enshrined Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander advisory body, a point that is a cause for concern for many. These two distinct and separate issues may not have been made clear to the Australian public throughout this inquiry and appear to have designed with that intent.
In my view, there's nothing racist about that. And what Justice Harrison seems to have missed is that Pat expressed his support for the constitutional recognition of Indigenous Australians, just not a constitutionally entrenched voice. But here's the real rub. Justice Harrison is a member of the judiciary, the arm of government that is supposed to keep a wide berth from politics. The judiciary complains loudly whenever anyone in politics dares to comment on their work. And yet, Justice Harrison thinks it's appropriate to send, from his work email, patently political content to a person who is not even his local member. Yes, Justice Harrison is a citizen of this country and he is entitled to participate in our democracy. But those who accept the great privilege, that is the opportunity to serve as a judge, also accept the responsibility to act with dignity, courtesy and restraint, lest their behaviour undermine Australians' trust in the impartiality of the bench. Justice Harrison's poor judgment in deciding to not just dip his toe, but jump all in on a highly politically charged matter in a manner that could be described as abusive, well, that completely oversteps the line. Poor Justice Harrison has fallen completely for the trap of the Yes campaign. He seems to have forgotten that it is possible to care deeply about Aboriginal Australians whilst also being concerned that this proposal would permanently divide Australians by race by giving people different rights in our democracy on that basis. And perhaps worst of all, he's taken to labelling a person as a racist for having a different view about how to help this part of our community. What's shown by his correspondence is that he's left behind the notion that good people can differ about the ways to best achieve shared goals. Instead, he accuses Pat Connaughton of lacking human decency, of being cruel and mean-spirited for having a different perspective. I don't think I'd be happy to be a litigant with a case before Justice Harrison, now that I can see that he's prepared to consider everyone who thinks differently to him on a matter of genuine political debate in our community as not just wrong, not just mistaken, but lacking human decency. This is how identity politics works. Because the identity position is cast as a moral one, then everyone who disagrees isn't just wrong, but evil. But to have a Supreme Court judge that's not capable of seeing the distinction, well, that has the capacity to bring confidence in the public's trust in the bench into question.